Hello everyone, welcome back to another live stream here. Today we are commentating back in the IRT League on the Monday evenings. Hopefully everyone is good in the chat. As you can see, there is now a rainfall falling down here in around the Hungary, which makes it very tough for the drivers indeed. Leslie, welcome to the stream. Hopefully you're good. If you haven't liked the stream already, make sure you do. Like I just said, you can clearly see it's a very poor conditions right now around the Hungary ring. Nagidic, if XMyG likes to say. Favorite lines of there, but you can clearly see the weather is not ideal right now and it's going to be very tough for the drivers. I think the drivers are going to be very well prepared for this event, since of course most of these guys drive in League of Europe, and they had Hungary this weekend, so I think we're going to see some better racing potentially from most of the League of Europe, and they're going to be better prepared. So hopefully everyone is good. Last week, of course, we had the Japanese Grand Prix, which was another exciting Grand Prix, also halted by rain at the end, which saw Relentless take another race win, just extending their advantage by so many points still. So a crazy race we had there with guys staying out, and it did see also getting the first podium of the season for ESW. First podium with JR getting third place. They did have a points deduction as well, but they still managed to get the podium, so congrats to them. And of course NRL, I'm pretty sure got, oh no, it was Evora in second, so also good job to them. You see on board with Malti right now in this current conditions, struggling quite a lot in the wet conditions. Let me quickly get the track map up apart from telemetry, as engineers will see the telemetry and we're gonna avoid that. Hopefully everyone is good in the chat. Let me know how everyone is doing. So now on board with Malti, just putting so much Job Lamas moving out of the way for Malti's lap right now. Very tricky conditions right here, but on board with the IRT driver. You can clearly see it is not ideal conditions, and people just want to build up the confidence most likely and get faster and faster. I'm not sure if it's gonna dry up or if it's gonna be a wet race. I'm not sure, but we can clearly see it's very wet right now. As we now got Steve saying the fastest lap with a 26.2 right now, 2 tenths ahead of Urpek, or about 10.5, closely followed now by Ferg, who's beaten C by another 2 tenths, but it is those early laps, so I expect times to come down and down, and the drivers just to build up more confidence during the event. So I don't think it's going to be representative types right now, as people just want to set complete laps. As you can see, Mario going 6 tenths quick already in sector 1 alone, so you can clearly see just the drivers are gonna push it more and more per lap, as he nearly loses the car there, Marty. Maybe quickly on board to go on board with another car, as Jaume its fast lap with a 25.8, so good time for him right there. First car in the 25s. Could be potentially see 24s in this qualifier. I'm not too sure, but you never know with these drivers. On board with Reservoir right now, who did take the win in Division 4 League of Europe, so he did very well right there. So he's going to be a driver to look out for potentially, with some decent pace there. But right now still down in 11th, as we didn't have rain in Division 4. You can clearly see it's not doing him wonders, but he's second up right now, so he's doing rather well right now, which should get him around 8th or 9th place, as now Ferg takes back pole position with a 25.7, so took away about 3 tenths of his time. Now Victor for NRL in 3rd place with a 26 flat, so times are indeed coming down, with now Reservoir up to 12, so the prediction I had in about 8th is now gone down to 13th, so Reservoir's got to keep on pushing, but the conditions will get better and better as more grip and more risks will happen on track right here. Let me quickly see here, as CPI Bunty is invalidated, and now Jaum improves on his advantage with a 25-4, so another 4 tenths found from the LFR driver, so good job from him right there. He's clearly finding the time and getting close to the 24 mark here. 3 tenths ahead of a Ferg right here, so good job from him. But like I said, times are coming down every single lap. As Sieb is invalidated actually, so he made some mistakes. And indeed, I think the rain has just slightly lit up as Sieb is really pushing the limits right here. As now Urbeck is going to second place with Ruud Gullit spinning. It looks like turn 11. Just waiting for other cars to get past. He doesn't want to get disqualified here. But he just spun before turn 11. Probably hit the curb and then spun. They're both NRL drivers in second and third right now. So good job from them. Good job from them right now in second and third. But undoubtedly times will improve as I think the rain is going away. So for the last 10 minutes, could we see potentially a quick change to dry tires? If the rain does stop, then it could potentially happen, but you never know. I think the rain is just getting less and less right now, so if you saw the beginning of the session, it was definitely way more wet than it is right now, so times will come down and down and down. People just want to do laps, but if people do too many laps in a row, then of course tires will start to overheat and you will lose some performance, which is something you don't want as well. So what you regularly see in real life of on the course, the banker lap, and then the push lap, and then another banker lap, just to get the tires still in a good window, as Jaum is now 6 tenths down this time. So not an ideal lap so fast. Urbeck is going faster with a 25 flat, so it just shows the times are coming down right now. So we're looking forward to going into the 24s, but who is going to be one to be the benchmark right now, as Dan is invalidated for the BNRL team. Damon, who's made a late substitution, could potentially be a penalty, but let's see how's that gonna fold. He's now down in 17th, so not ideal. Old school in 16th for ESW. His team is in P5, so quite a way off still, but I think the sums up that JR is doing a very good job in this event for the ESW team by getting a podium and just being just really quick. Down Bolt back with Reservoir out and out. He's now on his outlap. Bunty's improving about 2.5 tenths. The new signing for CPI. Bolt him. I think that's going to be an invalidation indeed. He would have found 6 tenths. If he did complete that lap, he would have been around Seep and JR. So shame for him, but he just let Urbeck go through, and I think indeed the rain has stopped. So could we potentially see some dry tires here at the end of the session? There's still 8 minutes left of this qualifying session, so will it dry up enough? So I think, yeah, Urbeck has nearly beat this time again, so Urbeck is looking really good for pole position right now, but with the rain stopping, who's gonna risk it on the dry tires? And who's potentially gonna go mediums? Who's gonna go on softs? This could all play out different here. And if you're Urbeck, you're looking in really good shape, because you know when the track is gonna be too dry. And this guy in the pits is gonna wait. As Sieb is going into P2 with a 25.3, beaten by Dan, who's now completed his lap. Now up from 18th to 2nd, so great lap there from him. Still about 2 tenths off Urbeck, but P2 is certainly not a bad position to be in. And Sieb is still now in P3, so good job from him. About a 10th ahead of Jaum, who's I think just gonna wait for the dry tires potentially. As we see Marty going into the pits in P10 right now. Aaron is back for a 4, I'm pretty sure. Still staying laps. The track looks still pretty wet to me, so I'm not sure how many drivers will try the dry tires, but Arwon is finding some time, about 2/10, as we've got yellow flags, probably just letting someone through, but quickly involved with Arwon as he spun, he's hit the wall there. Unfortunate for him, he has hit the wall and lost all that advantage, probably got some front wing damage here. It's not ideal. As I think someone moved up, I think it was, no, not Ferg, I'm not sure, there's someone definitely moved, it was Rudy Gullit. Oh no, he's on his outlaps. I think it's Bunty. Bunty improved to P8, so I definitely saw someone improve, and he's gone to a 26-0, so what the last sector time was of his previous attempt, he is kinda matched right now, but can he push on? Can he find some more time? Because only if he finds like 3/10s, then he's up to about P6, P5 again, so Bunty is looking decent right now for a top 10, but how much time can he ideally find still? As Mack is now improved to P10, nearly the same time as Bunty, but just behind him now, so both BNL RE drivers in the top 10 right now, so good job from them. Same for NRL, both drivers in the top 10, but it's all coming down to the final runs. Who's gonna risk it for the dry tires with only 5 minutes left to qualifying session now? So we've got the cars slowing down in sector 2. Marcus, I think, is just pushing on here for the BNRA team and finding 2/10s already. So those 2/10s would get him up to P7 right now. So good sector 1 for him so far. We're going to stay on board with him, with Marcus right now as he's going through sector 2. Very tough sector to get right here, but he's taking it very, very well at the moment. Being very careful as well. You can clearly see the wet patch are going away, and he's finding 3/10. So those 3/10s would get him around P6, P5 if he can nail this final sector here. It's looking good right now for Marcus to be close, to push himself further up in the top 10, as he's in P10 right now with other cars improving as well. Good spot there from Jay. We see Max improved to P7 just behind Ferg. Didn't have the greatest final sector, and we see everyone right now on the intermediates apart from Rust UK, who's waiting for the dry period here. So the DRA team looking for some risks potentially. It has stopped raining. Urbeck has gone out for a set of inters, so I think Sieb has done the same. It's still, I think, a bit too wet for the dry tires, but you never know. It could change by any minute now, as Rüdiger has gone to P4. So both LFR drivers in the top 5, and Relentless down in 7th and 16th right now. So not an ideal qualifying, especially because we saw them so many times just being high up in qualifying, but not today it seems like. But there's still 4 minutes left for both drivers to improve. As I think, oh, did they make contact, Ferg and John? I'm not sure if they did, but I don't think it's the smartest plan to do to race in qualifying, as Apex invaded this run. With everyone pretty much going out of the box right now, the track is getting drier and drier, but it still looks very wet, so very risky at the same time. Indeed, everyone's going for a set of inters, it looks like. Rust's gone out. Not if you're old school, I would just go for a set of dry tires and just risk it, because you've got nothing to lose. You're already 17th, and if the track conditions just drastically improve over this minute, then you're gonna be golden. I think Damon is potentially looking for the same thing here, as Urbeck nearly at the same time there on the intermediates, those fresh inters. Well, I think the inters are the better tire right now to be on. As we see yellow flags, Urbeck nearly losing the car right here in turn 1. Going around turn 2 and up to turn 3 right now. Very difficult corner to get right, especially in the wet here. But Urbeck takes it very well, and he found pretty much the same time. Not improved, but not lost any time. So sector 2 is going to be the most crucial sector for him right now on his lap, as he's nearly lost the car again, really on the limit right here. And Urbeck has decided to back off and go for the second run here. And interestingly, Dan has gone out for a set of all intermediates, 5 laps. So could this mean there's potentially rain on the horizon in the race as well? You never know, but it's certainly interesting. As Sieb has found some time, not enough to beat Urpek right here, but can he nail the final sector? And can he push himself up to the top 2 for the IRT team? Of course, this is our own event, so we want to see do our drive see well, and he does get himself up to P2, so good job from him. There's still one more run after for Sieb, so good job from him. His teammates in 15, but him in second is definitely gonna give him confidence for the race, but there's still everyone pretty much on their laps. As actually Ruti Gullit has gone into the pit, so did he not put enough fuel in his car? As Jaum has invalidated, can go for another run still. Victor is improving, but that's a slight mistake right there, as we see some debris there, not sure from who. Ferg is also improving by about 10.5. Won't be enough to be ahead of Victor, but certainly pushes his advantage ahead now, coming to the final corner, and it will be indeed P7 still. About he did lose a lot of time in the final sector, but was not enough anyway to gain to Victor here. As now Max is starting his final run with 7 seconds to go here, leaving it to the last moment now of qualifying. As Damon has retired, so he made a mistake in sector 2. As now DRS has actually been enabled, so the drivers will get to use DRS on the main straight and on the straight after turn 1, a little straight you can call it. As Victor and Ruti Gullit are done for this qualifying session, same for Rustruke, Westervaart and Tim, as Marcus is not improving. So is the intermediates now out of shape for these tires? As Sieb has also not improved, as Old School is just waiting there. And I think the Inters have seen the best of the conditions here. It's certainly not dry enough for the dry tires, but it's also too dry for the Inters, it seems like, as drivers are not improving anymore on this set of tires. But Marcus is still pushing on, invalidating on this attempt, and he was down on this attempt anyway, so didn't find any time. Ferg is pitting, Jaum is completing his lap, invalidated of course, and I think this will be the qualifying session done. So if Old School, Resify or Damon would have gone on the set of dry tires, they would have found so much more time potentially, because look how dry the track is now compared to like a minute ago. So, but anyway, this will be our grid for this qualifying session, as Old School come across the line now, just waiting for the last couple of cars to come into the pits. But it is pole position for the NRL team. Congrats to them by a great lap from Urpek, just doing laps on the intermediates and finding confidence. Clearly paid off for him, and yeah, he just made it work and proved to be the quickest in the wet here. But being a dry session is totally different here for the drivers, if it's even gonna be dry for the race. We're about to find out any moment now, hopefully, as we're now on board with an ESW driver of Old School, I'm pretty sure. So we see now the condition or the standings right here after this qualifying session, with Urpek on pole position for NRL, with Sieb in P2. Hopefully he can convert that into a great position, with Dan in P3, Ruti Gullit in P4, Jaum in P5, so RFR in great position here. NRL as well in a great position with first and sixth, with Victor in sixth of course, Ferg in seventh being the lead relentless driver, Marcus 8th, Job Lamas 9th, JR in 10th, Marty in P11, Bunty P12, Aaron in P13, Tim P14, Rust UK in 15th, West5 16th, Old School 17th, and Damon rounding out the grid right now. Let me know in the chat right now your predictions for this Grand Prix. I'm certainly looking forward to it. Hopefully you guys are as well. As we're now here for the Hungarian Grand Prix. Cloudy conditions, it seems like it. And now of course with the drivers having had the choice or were on the intermediates, they now have the opportunity to choose whatever tire they want to start on. So I am expecting to see some medium tires. The one stop is possible, medium soft, hard soft to work as well. I don't think hard medium would be a great strategy, but I think a hard soft or a medium soft is certainly going to be the strategy for today. With it, I think most of the guys starting on the medium tires to get far into the Grand Prix. But don't surprise me if some guys are gonna pick the soft tires for the beginning to get a better launch of the start and gaining some positions early on and then making the undercut. They do have to defend later on in the race, which is gonna be quite tough, but Hungary is never the easiest circuit to get a clean overtake done. So, and in turn 4 is quite dangerous with the curb there, and turn 10, 11, that section is always difficult and can cause the best drivers out there. It can be very difficult for them, but I think it's going to be a good Grand Prix. It looks to be dry right now, so and I just heard some reports that it can rain during the race, so that's going to be exciting. As we now on board with Sieb and seeing Urbeck leading the formation lap here. Looks to be dry right now. Can we get some weather reports maybe in the chat? Can we get our weatherman today? As we see now, the strategy needs a medium hard apparently, or a 2-stop. I don't think it's a strategy. I think it's a standard 1-stop from medium to soft or soft medium. Let me quickly get the tires up here, as we now got the top 8 starting on the mediums, and then Job Lammers, who's actually done a decent job there for DRA, and JR on the soft tires, so they're gonna be ones to look out for on the start, with Marty in P11, Bunty in P12, also on the mediums, and Aaron as well on the mediums. Then we've got our first hard runner with Tim on the hard tires, so he's going to be looking to go long in the race. I think the hard tires are a decent tire to be on for the race. Maybe he's going to wait for the rain, you never know. Pit lane is kind of long, so, or decently long. Then we've got Rusty K on the soft tires, so he's going to be looking forward to getting as many positions as he can on the start of the Grand Prix. And then Recify on the mediums, Old School on the hards, as we've got Urbeck nearly doing a Verstappen here in 2020, but it wasn't raining, so Urbeck is safe for now. But or I don't think NRL would be impressed by just seeing that their driver going off track. Thankfully it was a formation lap, so as he's now running out the grid. Can't forget CPI Damon, he's starting on the medium tires as well, rounding out the grid, as people are now starting to take their formations on for this Hungarian Grand Prix. I'm going to go for a Zhang win. I know he's not the strongest in the race. And then with Marcus P2 and then Ferg P3. Still with Relentless taking a good position, as now the cars are now lined up for this Grand Prix here. With an interesting view here, with the lights on now. 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights and 5 lights. And it's away we go. It seems to be a good start from Urbeck here. Sieb has an alright start. Rudy Gullit makes the best start for sure. He's now up to P3. And with Dan going around the outside, outbreaking Sieb here. Can he move ahead now of the IRT driver? It looks like Sieb has better traction here. Urbeck did definitely have the best start out of everyone. And Dan and Sieb look to make contact here. And with Dan actually moving ahead now of Sieb, getting up to P2. So a very aggressive driving from both there. And of course we see battles in the midfield right now. Marcus falling back some positions. Tim also fighting for some positions. And Marty down to 15 from 11. So unlucky for him right there in the midfield battle. With Tim actually gaining position on those hard tires. So well done to him. JR gained 1 position. and Job Lammers gained 2 positions, so indeed the soft tyres working out early. The drivers have to be aware of track limits in turn 4, turns, I think that's turn 8 and turn 11, have to be aware of those. So, but a good start right now from Urbeck, nearly clearing Dan already for a second. Sieb in P3, we see some, Victor has actually spun here. Victor has actually spun in the last corner, so we've got one NRL driver in P1 and then one at the back of the grid. I think he just hit the inside curve there and spun, as we see loads of battles right now with Ferg on the inside trying to overtake Rust UK here in the DRA team. Great battles right now as Ferg is trying to move ahead with the drivers. Four-way battle for P6 right here. Incredible racing right here from all the guys, with JR involved as well. And somehow all the drivers not, one of the drivers not getting involved in the crash. So well done to those drivers for keeping it clean. And Ferg really putting out the elbows. But this does however mean they lost the DRS to the both LFR guys who are in P4 and P5. So not maybe the best strategy they could have done, as the DRS does gain you about 3 to 4 tenths as the cars run very wide there. Turn 11 is a weird turn, they gain a few track limits, but it is just a very difficult corner to get right. But now moving on to lap 3 of this Grand Prix, Urbeck saying the fast lap here, just proving that he's got great pace. He proved it in Baku, he proved it in Japan, was just very unlucky with a spin, I'm pretty sure last week, but he's certainly back on the pace right here. Sieb still on the DRS of Dan. Dan has done a very good job there, because he was nearly last in qualifying and now in P2, so he's looking very good right now, but there's still plenty of laps to go here. So and now everyone just in the DRS window pretty much, and you can clearly see that Rust UK is losing that time. He is on the soft tires, so he's done a decent job there on the start, but Ferg is on the medium tires and proving to stay within the DRS. So Ferg is looking to get past him, as JR is also on the soft tires, still in the DRS. It's actually Ferg's losing a bit of time now compared to Rust UK. I think some drivers may have picked up their first warnings already, which you don't want to, as indeed that was Aaron running very wide there. So I'm pretty sure he's on the limit and maybe picked up 2 warnings. So you can't pick up one more, otherwise you're gonna get a 3-second penalty, and you want to avoid that at any means possible. And Victor has somehow got back into the race here, close up to the back of Damon, and got himself into a bit of a rhythm again, as Jaume has moved ahead of Rudy Gullit. So both LFR drivers doing the swap, they do have the advantage to Rust, and both being on the medium tires, just working out well here. And Sieb is just in between both of those. Cleared Jaume of the DRS, but I'm certain he wants to move ahead, as I think that's a track limit there for Sieb, so he wants to be more careful on that one, as if you get a penalty then it's going to be very difficult to get a podium if those cars behind don't have penalties. But Urbeck just clearing the field right now, 1.5 seconds nearly ahead of Dan, and Sieb nearly losing DRS here. Can he get back in a 1 second window here? As JR nearly close, very close to Ferg right here. Relentless in a different position right now. Of course, they do have 2 different drivers driving for them today, but it's not where they used to be. It's not where they have been all season, dominating from the front. But let's see what Restify can do. I know he's got good pace, and Ferg certainly is a good driver as well. So, and the race is far from done yet. So. Also now very close to the back of Rust UK, who's 2.6 seconds behind the both LFR drivers. As Sieb is now on board with Marty. Marty's actually spun into the wall, so that's an IRT driver unfortunately at the back. with Victor now moving ahead of Damon here around the outside here. What a move there from Victor around the outside. Daniel Ricciardo style. What a move there from Victor to move ahead of Damon. Can he now push ahead to Recify? Recify moves now about 1.6 behind Tim on those medium tires. And he's gonna have Victor behind him, pushing very hard with a lovely overtake there. But should it just now go? Siep is now back in the DRS window of Dan. I think Siep is just saving ERS, and indeed he is. And Dan is using a bit of ERS. He's lower than Siep right now. And both LFR drivers very comfortable in P4, P5 right now in the DRS window of the cars ahead. 3 seconds ahead of Rusty K, as we now see Ferg move ahead of Rusty UK. As Rusty K is actually going for the defense, making contact here, but it's not proved to be enough, as now Ferg has moved up to P6. Is he going to lose another position to JR here, as JR is now up to P7, it looks like, squeezing the JR driver out nearly. As both drivers make contact, going side by side towards turn 4, it's gonna be JR on the inside, making very close contact here. Rushke doesn't want to give that position up. However, he has now lost 1 second to Ferg here. As we've got another spin here, I think it's Bunty. Bunty has spun on the inside of turn 5. Unfortunately for the CPI driver, both CPI drivers now in 15th and 17th, as Old School has moved ahead on the hard tires. Marty's actually going to the pits and selected a set of hard tires. So as now Victor has moved ahead of Tim, who's I think made a mistake somewhere. As Damon is now the first driver to pick up a 3-second penalty here. So after 6 laps he's picked up 3 warnings. Tim could have potentially picked up a warning there. I think Tim has damage. Yes, Tim has indeed got damage. He's got understeering quite a lot right here, and going into the pit you can clearly see the left hand side end plate is gone from the forward driver. So he's going to make an early pit stop, going for a set of medium tires, going to be following around the clutches of Marty, as Urbeck is building on that advantage, about 2 seconds clear now of Dan in P2. You can clearly see the clean air is working out very handily for him, as Ferg is now clear of Rust UK. And can he push now onwards forward towards Rudy Gullit? The gap is 3.6 seconds. He does not have the DRS, but in clean air can control the pace and potentially close up a bit in the middle sector. But without DRS it's just going to be so difficult to catch up. So he would hope that one of the cars has a double stack ahead. Of course, in these cars, the multiplayer cars, every car is in a different box, so it is different for everyone. So it could be Ferg and Rudy Gullit together in a box, or it could be Rust UK and Makkes together. So it is very different. As I actually got Rust UK pitting he was the lead soft runner, and he's actually sped in the pit lane, so he's gonna drop 5 seconds backwards. But he was the lead soft runner, he did very decent on that stint, going for a set of medium tires. I'm pretty sure they are. Let me check, and they are indeed. But he does have a 5-second penalty now, so he's gonna have to gain that somewhere on track right now. But he does have clean air for it, so I'm certain that he will gain some time from it. The car ahead is about 8 seconds clear, so he can push ahead now to Bunty and potentially get in the DRS window again. As Ferg, all these guys in the top 6 won't pit for a very long time. JR doing a very decent job still on the soft tires in P7. Can he now do the overcut on Rust UK? Potentially. If he stays within the 5-second window of Rust UK, he will move ahead of him. So I think JR is in a very decent position still. And it wouldn't surprise me if he does go into the box this lap. And indeed he does not. I thought he was going to box for sure, as we see the second DRA driver going to the box of Job Lames. Does he speed this time? He does not, so good job from him. He will rejoin behind his teammate, but not that far ahead, and he will have 1 lap fresh tires. Resify now up to the top 10 here, so can Resify push onwards to Arwon and Marcus here, who are also on the medium tires. And then we got Victor also trying to get back in the race after that first lap spin. Only about 3.4 seconds behind Resify here, as indeed Job Lammers is rejoined behind Rust UK, but about 2 seconds behind, so I think he's still looking forward for a top 10 finish potentially, especially with his teammate having a 5-second penalty. So this race is interesting for DRA. Hopefully they can get a both top 5 or both top 10 finish actually. Top 5 is a bit unrealistic right now with the performance that these cars, these teams are putting out here today, especially Urbeck. About 2.5 seconds clear on the field, controlling his pace and sending a purple middle sector, I'm pretty sure. So Urbeck is really controlling the pace right now, but what about Dan and C? What will they do? As JR is now going into the pits from the soft tires. Could you put on the tires? And I can for sure, I just put them off for the start of the Grand Prix. Here you go, everyone on a set of mediums apart from Old School and Marty were to make an early pit stop, unfortunately, after getting damage in turn 2. So he needs to hope for a safety car. Safety car is on standard, so if a crash does happen on the pit lane exit, yellow. So then safety car will potentially come out, but you never know. Never know, as Dan has actually closed a little bit of the gap, because the gap was about 2.5 seconds and now it's about 2.4 seconds. So does Dan have found some secret pace all of a sudden? As Rust UK has actually picked up another penalty here, so he's on 8 seconds right now. So his race going backwards really quickly here. It's not ideal for him right now. Moving on to lap 11 right now, with Urbeck still very much controlling the race video with a 2.4 second gap here. Good job for him right now. Seeb just looking forward to getting past some way. Does he gonna try the undercut at some point around lap 26 or 27? Or is he gonna try the overcut? Is Dan gonna hold on? I think best for all of those drivers in those battles just to get no penalties at all, because every penalty you can drop way back. You can clearly see the DRS is just working wonders right now, because Ferg was about 3.6 behind, and just because of mainly the DRS most likely, he's dropped about 5.5 seconds behind. So I think those guys in the top 4 now, as Ruud Gillis moved out of the DRS window, are just pulling away here. We actually see him nearly dropping out of the window, as Ruud Gillis made a massive mistake there. We saw that on both right now, running really wide in turn 11. I thought he was going to hit the wall for 1 second here, but he was very close there to hitting the wall. But he's still in the race, potentially picked up a warning here. So Ruud Gillis potentially on the warning, as Marty picks up his first penalty in last place. Very unfortunate for him on the hard tires. I think everyone on the medium tires is potentially waiting for a rain. I did hear there could be rain later on in the race. Well, for right now we haven't seen any rain so far. As Ruud Gillis is really struggling here right now in P5. This could give the opportunity to Ferg to catch up, as he's now dropped the gap to about 4.8 seconds, and the gap was about 5.5 seconds, so he's clearly, the gap is clearly going down. As Job Lammers now in a battle with JR. The drivers were in a battle, I think, in the beginning of the Grand Prix, and Job Lammers getting his elbows out, but it's JR moving around the outside and getting the move done, it looks like. But both drivers still going side by side. This is great racing here. We're seeing the DRA and DSW and JR's forcefully moving ahead now to push ahead to Rust UK. So JR making that later pit stop is clearly using the fresher tires to advantage here. So he's in a position about P7 right now, and clearly using that fresher tires to advantage here as he's moving closer to Rush UK. But they're both drivers getting in a battle with CPI Damon, who's actually behind Old School. So DRA is gonna have to try to overtake Old School without too many difficulties, as JR is probably gonna get past him quite easily, as JR has moved ahead of Damon, who's made an early pit stop, so I'm guessing he's gonna go for a set of hard tires. As Marty has spun again, unfortunately, got some damage and very difficult on the wheel right now, as JR and Rust UK in the battle right now for P13. I think Rust UK had some moment there because JR moved some positions back here. What interesting race right now, with some guys definitely moving backwards. As we saw a car going into the pits, it's Marty's car going into the pits. Just very difficult to drive, it seems like. But he's gonna carry on, I think. As in the middle sector, we've got Rush UK, who has made a mistake. He has spun off after turn 5, so he has dropped behind JR right now and his teammate Job Lammers, and with an 8-second gap penalty and another 3-second penalty, his race is going from bad to worse here really, as he's nearly spun the car there. And here we are on board with JR, who will benefit from that incident here, probably gonna move ahead of his teammate any moment now, who's on the hard tires. He's not making it easy, to be fair, Old School is, but JR probably gonna use DRS and move ahead, and indeed here we go. JR up to P12. Can he use those fresh tires to move to catch up to Bunty and Victor? So JR is definitely still in the race, as the top 10 has all started on the medium tires. So JR can now use those tires to push onwards, forward now the field. So I think he's in a position about P5, P6 right now potentially. I think more like P6, P7 actually. So good teamwork there indeed from the ESW team. But let's see what JR can do in clean air, as Old School is really holding up Job Lammers behind. So doing a good job that right there. As Bunty's driving his own race pretty much, 7 seconds behind Victor and 5 seconds ahead of JR, who is closing the gap rapidly. As Recify is close way back in the top 10 still, of course, with a P9 result right now. But Victor is closing the gap right now to a 1.6 second gap. That gap was about 3.4 seconds, so Victor has shown great pace despite the spin. So can he carry that onwards to the rest of this Grand Prix? Ferg just in P6 right now, not able to catch up to Ruud Gullit after it looked like he was closing the gap. The gap got back up to 5.6 seconds. So Ferg is in his own race pretty much, only about 3 seconds ahead of Marcus, who's controlling his pace right now in P7. So both B and LRE drivers are doing really well right now, with both drivers in the top 7 right now, and later on the soft tires potentially, if the rain won't arrive. But that's a massive if. That's a massive if it does not rain. It looks like there's some parts of the sun coming out onto the track, and it looks like Sieb has maybe lost advantage to the DRS window of Dan. So Dan has just got better pace than Sieb at the moment, and Jaume is licking his lips right now. Can he get closer to Sieb and potentially move up to the podium places here? Jaume, we said it, he doesn't have the best race pace all the time, but it looks very promising right now for the LFR driver, especially with both LFR drivers in the top 5 and Verlanders maybe a bit lower down the field. So everything can happen still here in this event. But Ferg is still very consistent in P6 right now. He's minding his own business here. Because there's not really many battles happening on track right now, but we sure don't mind that ahead of incidents on track right here, but it's going alright so far. But let's see if the race can be changed after maybe a certain rain period does arrive. As Marty, I think his car, he is driving, he just ghosted because he's lapped, so very difficult race for him. Now I think Zhao is very close to the back of Seep. Seep is a lot of pace, and Dan is using that pace advantage as Epic is starting to struggle on those tires. The gap is down to 1.9 seconds here, so Dan has found some pace, and Seep is just not able to hold on to that pace that Dan has, as Rust UK has retired, and this could cause a safety car here, and it does. So this is a very difficult strategy now for the medium runners, as I think it's still too far away for the soft tires, but it's not great for the hard tires. So what will happen? What will we see from the safety car? Or what will we see from the top guys? Will they select a set of hard tires, or will they select a set of soft tires to risk it till the end? I think we're gonna see everyone pound to the pits for a set of hards personally. Indeed, Epic going into the pits, Dan going into the pits, Seep making that stop, Zhao, Ruud Gullit, and I expect everyone to go into the pits. Ferg indeed also boxing. Marcus, Arwon into the pits. Yes, he is. Resify also in the pits. Do we see some jumps maybe in the pits? Seep has kept his third place, as we see indeed one runner right now on the soft tires, and that is Ruud Gullit. Ruud Gullit has decided to select a set of soft tires, and we saw another box or another team there with a set of soft tires, and it is the NRL driver Victor going for the set of soft tires here. So this race is gonna get spicy with Ruud Gullit now on the soft tires. He's gonna have to manage his tires very well near the end of the Grand Prix, but I'm certain that in the beginning of the Grand Prix he will use that pace advantage. And now the good point for Relentless is that both drivers now in the top 10, with Resify using that safety car to advantage here. And JR being called out of that safety car period because he was in a provisional P7, but with all the guys making a stop, he has decided to make another stop. He has gone for sort of medium, so he can have a bit of pace advantage compared to the hard runners in the beginning for sure. But it's going to be interesting to see how Ruud Gullit can stretch those tires till the end of the race, because it is very far away, because it's very tough on mediums around like 20 laps. So how would softs go till the end of the Grand Prix? Maybe there is a rain period falling at the end of the race, so it's going to be interesting to see how those tires survive. The bad part for I think Marty is that he's in the midfield of those runners here, and I don't think he can unlock himself, which is a massive disappointment for him. But if you unfortunately do spin twice, then it's just the way it is for him. As we now on our third lap behind the safety car, what's going to happen on the restart here with Urpek controlling the pace once again? Can Dan stay within the DRS window? Because his pace was actually really good. He was catching Urpek here near the end of that stint before the safety car came out, and Siep just couldn't hold on. Apparently Jesus taking over for the soft tire runners right now, so I'm interested to see how that would play out, but I'm gonna let Codemasters do that thing. If Jesus wants to take over, then go for it, but I don't think Jesus is I'm not sure what to say really. Oh dear. Did we see the safety car matches coming in? Indeed we did, with Urpek now controlling the gap. He's going quite early actually, and that may have called out Dan. Now Dan is out 6 seconds behind, and now Urpek weaving on that straight right here as we now back to racing speed conditions, and it's indeed swap has happened. Rudy Gullit moved up to P4 as we've got yellow flags on the main straight. It looks like DRA Job Lammers and Tim have had an incident, but what can Rudy Gullit do now? If I were Siep, I would just go let Rudy Gullit go through now, as the gap to Jaum is quite large right now, and you don't want to be involved in an incident. But Rudy Gullit will be very aggressive on this, as he's nearly pushing Siep around the corner here. Victor has gained one position to rectify using those same tires, of course, to advantage here. What can he do? Aaron in P8 right now. Aussie, oh my days, he lagged nearly off the track. As Rudy Gullit is so close to the back of Siep. Rudy Gullit using all of his ERS right here pretty much to try to overtake here. And Siep just trying to stay within the DRS window of Dan, which DRS gets enabled in a couple of laps time, but it's very tough for Siep right now. Dan staying within the DRS window of Urpek, so Dan just proves to have good pace as well. And here we have the move from Rudy Gullit past Siep here for the podium place right now. But that's not a surprise here, with the soft tires being way better than the hard runners right now. But Rudy Gullit has got a while to go to save those tires, so I'm intrigued to see how he can manage those tires. But Siep, I think, has done the best he could in terms of defending, but he just needs to stay within the DRS window, as JR has picked a penalty, as we see loads of penalties coming in now, as Marty is actually retired from the Grand Prix. Does this bring out a safety car? It does not, it looks like. Not celebrating too early yet, and it does bring out a virtual safety car, so Marty unfortunately having to retire from the Grand Prix after a incident which looks pretty similar to Marcus Ericsson in 2014, but that's a shame for him, as the virtual safety car has come out, as Marty's car is gone from the racetrack. So I think we're gonna go racing any moment now. Be aware that the drivers have to stick within the delta, otherwise they get a drive-through penalty if the virtual safety car is done. And a drive-through penalty right now is the worst thing ever, as Victor has actually gone into the pits. Victor has decided to make a pit stop here. Did he pick up damage? Did Victor pick up damage? Or did he think the tires are not going to make it? I think he picked up... No, he did not pick up damage. He's switching to a set of medium tires, so he has told the tires won't survive. So what will Rudy Gullit think now? I think these tires only last about 8 laps, so I'm not sure how Rudy Gullit is going to do this, but I'm intrigued to see what tires can he use now to try to overtake Dan here. And can Siep stay within the 1 second window here, off Dan potentially, and go fight for the win still. As our Ferg on board with him right now is of course now in the DRS window of Jaum, because he had this safety car window to catch up, and that really just paid out massive difference here for Ferg. So I think Ferg is just having a steady race, and still being P6 is very solid points for Melendez. But LFR trying their best to gain as many points as possible, but I'm not sure if this is the best strategy for them right now. As now Ruud Gullit using the ERS, I'm pretty sure, to using the DRS as well in the slipstream, and he thinks better of it right now. As Daan is very close to the back of Urpek as well, so this race is really spicing up right now. And it's Ruud Gullit being patient right now, trying to move ahead of Daan here. But there's just no way past right now, as it's so close to the back of him in turn 4. He's just pretty much pushing him around the corner, and same for Daan. Daan is really close to the back of Urpek, so I don't think Urpek has the greatest pace on those hard tires, and Daan's able to use them better. And Siep is also just managed to stay within the DRS window of those cars, as Ruud Gullit is of course battling with Daan right now for that second place. So Siep hoping to take advantage of it, as we're in the DRS terrain. Apart from Recify, who's in a low 9th place right now, nearly a second clear of Bunty, who's making his debut in the IRT League right now. I've just got a spinner here. I think it's Tim for the Evora team. So Evora not having a great weekend here with R1 in P8 with a penalty, and Tim down in 16th. But R1 does the fastest lap. So prove me wrong, lads, I'd say. So he did post the fastest lap, probably used most of his ERS, but he still proved that he's got the pace, as now Victor has got the fast lap, going for sort of medium tires. I'm not sure why he pitted for those medium tires anyway after the safety car restart, since he would have been in the top 10 right now. So great strategy there from the NRL driver, but can he catch up to the cars ahead and still score some points? I think he can. And if Ruud Gullit's tires don't survive, like what happened with Scotty's tires in EML, then cars are going to gain a lot of positions. I think Siep is struggling as well on those tires right now, with Zhao being very close to the back of him, about half second behind. But Siep is still in the DRS, so he's still got potential to score a podium here. He just needs to be patient and hope Ruud Gullit's tires die at some point, as he's nearly lost the car there. And this will give an opportunity to Siep to stick within the DRS window. But that was very close for Ruud Gullit, and that shows that tires are starting to go off potentially here for Ruud Gullit. So if he wants to make the move on Daan, he's got to get it done any moment now. But Daan being close to Urpek, I think Urpek knows what he's doing, keeping Daan in the DRS. So Ruud Gullit can't get past. So I think this is a good strategy there from Urpek. So this race has become very spicy after the safety car restart. And there's still 10 laps to go of this Hungarian Grand Prix. I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be a great ending to the Grand Prix, hopefully. I think Urpek in control of the pace right now. Ruud Gullit has picked up a penalty, so he's pushed the limits of turn 11 a bit too much, and so the next car behind, which is Siep, will get that podium if it stays like this. So Siep has got the pressure off, but how many warnings does he have? Does he have 2 warnings? How close is he to the limit? And what does this think of Zhao? How will he approach this race right now? So will he try to get the move done on Siep, or will he just stick behind and go potentially for P4 in this race? It all depends how Ruud Gullit's tires do survive near the end of this Grand Prix. But this does open opportunities for other cars behind, because Ferg, I think this could promote him to P5 right now, and Max up to P6 still potentially. And R1, if he is lucky, he can still grab that bomb place from Ruud if it stays like this. I'm not sure, I don't think he can, but he's certainly close. And Resify is just too far behind. As he's actually made a mistake, Resify. Really struggling. Not the Resify we saw in LOE Day 4. Mu losing 2 places to Bunty and JR. JR having a penalty. And Bunty now in the top 9. Despite a not the greatest race so far. He's still in the top 10. So you gotta respect that. Asip is now in P4. Not using ERS. He's got less ERS than Jaume, so that's worth noting, of course. These guys are pushing very hard and try to get as many positions as possible. But what can Ruud do? I think he's just stuck right now, personally. He can't really move forward in this current place that he is in right now. So he's gotta hope Dan is going for a move on Urpec, so he can take advantage of this battle if it does happen. But I think Dan knows better, and Urpec is a very good driver as well, so I think both drivers will think better of it and take the points and the podium when they can. But because podiums don't come around often in this league. I know Relentless is very dominant, taking a lot of podiums, but NRL, BNRA, IRT, LFR, they all have scored podiums, and same for like ESW last week. So podiums don't come around often for everyone. So I think Dan knows better of it. Just gonna save ERS, like you see right now. He's just using. Oh, he's actually using a bit of ERS, but still above 60%. And I think you can clearly see Ruud tires has gone past their best. So Seep is now looking potentially 2 away pass now. Is he gonna save ERS? No, he's not. As Tim and Job Lammers actually picked up penalties now. Both of them. But let's see how this race is gonna unfold for the last couple of laps here. This is a very exciting end to the Grand Prix, as Jaume is very close to getting a warning there in turn 4. But now Ruud is not as close as he was a couple of laps ago when he was pushing flat out to gain to the back of Dan. But now you can clearly see the tires are starting to take their hits and his space advantage is dropping. So this is good for Dan, as I think Seep will be outside the DRS window after he's overtaken Ruud once again. So this is becoming a 2-horse race for the win right now, with Urpec and Dan fighting for the win. Tim staying fast lap there for good measures in P16. Not been the greatest weekend for him, but staying fast lap is the minimum he can do right now. Now switching back to the battles here. It's just lots of DRS trains right now, apart from Bunty there, who's about 6 seconds behind Arbon. It's just a very difficult Grand Prix right now for the cars. We did predict that overtaking is going to be very difficult, but there's barely been any battles the last couple of laps. But the overtakes we have seen though have been very impressive. As now we're seeing on board now with Ruud Gullit, he's starting to lose the DRS window as he's 1.1 now behind Seep, and he's still got 7 laps to go, 6 laps after they cross the line right here. So Seep is trying to look for a way past here once again, but Ruud Gullit knows better of it, trying to help his teammate by potentially squeezing him out, so he can't get past here. As Seep is actually getting kind of close, but I think he knows better of it. But what will Jaume do? I think that this is Jaume's best opportunity to get past both of them here, as Seep is trying to find a way past. As Ruud Gullit is dropping loads of time right now, so I don't expect Ruud Gullit to survive till the end of this Grand Prix here. but Jan and Urbeck are gone, so it's about a 4-5 way battle to P3 right now, as Bunty picks up a penalty, so this can promote Resify back up to P9, and if they catch up to R1, Resify will be back up to P8, which is not a bad position at all, especially being on those hard tires and some runs around him being on the medium tires. So I think it's been a decent job there from Resify. Not the weekend he would have liked for, but if he can get carried away with some points, then I think he's done a decent job there. As Receipt is now a lot closer to the back of Ruud Gullit. Ruud Gullit is losing so much time to the two cars in the lead, as he's nearly made a mistake now. So this is the opportunity for Sieb to get the way past Ruud Gullit now, and he's made the way past, and indeed Ruud Gullit has done the same, as now indeed we saw Ferg with the dive as well. So Ruud Gullit lost 3 positions on one straight here to Sieb, Jaum and Ferg. He lets Jaum go through, but there's another move there from Marcus up to P6, making contact, both drivers giving it their all, as now Marcus has gone around the outside. So Ruud Gullit now down to P7, already lost 4 positions to this on this lap alone, and undoubtedly I'm not surprised if he's gonna lose even more time. This does, however, see promotes back up to P3, but with Zhao being very close and proving to have good pace here, can he survive here? Ferg is struggling as well, and now again it's Bunty's actually spun here. Bunty's actually spun. We tried to go on ball with Ruud Gullit, who's picked up another penalty here. So JR is still looking good for maybe potentially a P9 finish or P8. So Resify could potentially score P7 or P8 still. Depends really how much he can catch up with JR to the cars ahead. JR style is still very good here. I think the medium tires can survive about 22-28 laps easily. I think 23 laps are realistic, so let's see how they will last. Josh, if I speak, I'm in big trouble, man. If I speak, I'm in big trouble. Also, Ruud Gullit's tires is just falling away so quickly here. It was an interesting strategy for sure, so I'm not sure why he didn't go for the hard tires and just went for a safe P5 like Ferg did. Like Ferg just gone for a safe position here, and it clearly just sees tires are fading very quickly here. I'm not sure if he's gonna have to make another pit stop here, because I don't know how many percent the tires are on, but look on his right front here. His right front, you can clearly see there's got a lot of blisters. He's got a lot of spots on his tires, so I'm sure his tire wear is very high right now, and JR and Resify are catching up very quickly here. Sieb has now got passed by Jaum. Both drivers going side by side here. And it's indeed Jaum who's made the move past. Sieb tries to defend against Jaum here, but it's now Jaum for the podium here. So indeed that DRS loss has paid Sieb the difference here at the end of the day. As we see one car pinning for intermediate. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's Inters right now. So yeah, apparently it's intermediates already by Tim. So if I speak, I'm in trouble again. So I don't know. As Urbeck is gaining the advantage to Dan here, about an 8-10 gap nearly already, and Sieb is still in the DRS window of Jaum, so this battle is not done yet. As Damon has picked up another penalty in P14, pretty horrendous race for CPI as Tim has spun on the intermediates. I'm not sure really what you expect else, but Sieb is trying to save ERS now for the final laps potentially. I think P4 is still a very good spot to finish in if it does stay like this. I think of course you would take a podium any day of the week, but a P4 is certainly not a bad result as well if you stay within these places, as we only got 2 laps to go now. So what can Steve do? As we actually, like we see now, the rain has arrived with 2 laps to go. So what will the rain do to these conditions, and how much will the driver struggle near the end of this race? I think it looks like Jaum is pulling away now from this battle here. So I think as we just see on board now, it's actually raining very hard right now. So what can we see for the final lap of this Grand Prix? Will the drivers crash out potentially? I'm not too sure. It's raining really hard right now. So what will happen? Let's see what's gonna happen. As DRS is still enabled here, Seep is definitely used his DRS here. As Jaumers nearly cleared him of DRS here. Jaumers looks good for the podium here, but the rain is coming down very heavily right now. As Dan is very close to the back of Urbeck, but it's not close enough. Reasonable gamble apparently. As Ruud Gullit is now down to P9. As Reservoir is 1.6 behind him, I think Ruud Gullit making it to the end of this Grand Prix is even a massive surprise. After the rain is coming down very quickly, but Ruud Gullit taking it so careful here. So it wouldn't surprise me if Reservoir gets the move done any moment now. But the rain is coming down very quickly here, so the drivers have to take it very carefully for the last couple of corners to not pick up a penalty here. Seep try to keep the P4 here alive, looking to Jaum, but we're gonna switch on board now to the battle for the lead. But I think it's gonna be Urbeck who's gonna survive for the win here for NRL around the Hungarian Grand Prix. Well done to Urbeck, with Dan finishing 2nd place, great position for him, and then Jaum doing great there for C over LFR, and then C finishing in P4 for IRT. Great job there. As you can clearly see, the track is very wet right now. Ferg in P5, Max in P6, R1 in P7, so good job there for the Evora driver still to finish in P7. Reservoir P8, so he did overtake JR, who finished in P9. Old School in P11 behind Victor, who still finished to finish in the points despite a spin first lap and then the wrong strategy call here. And then we're just gonna switch on board with Ruud Gullit was doing very well, but yeah, it was very unfortunate for him. Damon coming across the line now. I think Tim's tire gamble is somewhat worked out for this lap alone, but he's now a lap down, so just waiting for him to cross the line here. But as Victor's left the session and got a 20-second penalty. This game is something else. So he finished in P10, don't forget that. And yeah, he finished in P10, so I'm not sure why this game has done that, but we have seen it, so the stewards will not make that mistake. Maybe it's something to report still. Jaum has left the session and didn't get a penalty, so I'm not sure what happened to this game. But anyway, indeed, cheers Harley for reminding me in the chat, so we can get that removed, as that's not really fair. As Reservoir got driver of the day. Driver of the day here, so congrats to him. But my driver of the day is gonna go to Urbeck here, who's just done a brilliant job under pressure here from Dan. Dan was really putting the pressure on for those last couple of laps, and to not even be amazed by those laps. It's just a really great drive, and that's his 2nd win in about 4 races now right now for NRL. So NRL extending their advantage for P2 in the standings. They're not gonna catch up with Relentless most likely, I mean, yeah, it's probably somewhat impossible already, but I think P2 with 2 wins is a very good job there for Peck. So here we have the standings right now with Urbeck taking the win ahead of Dan. Zhao picking up P3, still a good position there from him. Seep in P4 after selling P2 is still a good job there, 5.3 seconds off the win. Ferg taking P5, Max P6, R1 P7, Resify P8, JR P9, Old School P10, but it will be Victor P10, so Old School 11th, Bunty P12, Job Lamas 13th, Rudiger 14th, Damon 15th, so here's the normal standings again, Tim after the risk P16, Marty our first DNFer after Rust UK, so these will be these finish standings. Hopefully everyone enjoyed the stream and the race. It was a very entertaining race to be watching again, and hopefully you guys have a great week. Once again, go smash your weeks and have some fun along the way. So see you guys hopefully next week for the Grand Prix. Let me quickly get the calendar up. So next week we will have Mexico. We will have the Mexico circuit, the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez circuit, which will be an absolute classic. Hopefully you guys are ready for that, and we'll see you guys next week.